Hello, 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 and welcome to the 100th episode of Owning Pleasure as a Black woman. I am so excited to be here. It has been a journey, and I just want to thank you for riding this journey out with me and being a loyal listener. If you are new here, welcome. There are 99 more episodes before this one for you to binge and get some goodness and some gems and some action plans to level up your pleasure, your rest, and your self-care. But I thank you for being here. This is going to be equally a good episode as any of the other ones before and those that come after. Weird thing about me, when I listen to a podcast and I'm committed, I start all the way from the beginning, so episode number 1, and I ride that thing all the way through. It's just a weird little quirk of mine that I'm fully committed. It doesn't matter how many episodes. So if you feel the need to do that, listen, I'm here for it. I love that for you. Now, before we get to our questions, because I did tell y'all that this was going to be a Q&A episode where I'm answering your questions. So first of all, I appreciate you sending me the questions and giving me something to go off of. So this is going to be good, because as much as I love giving you information and giving you the value to go out there and do it, I also want to know what it is you actually want to know and what questions you actually have. So that's what we're going to do today. But before we get into that, I want to remind you to please do me a huge favor. Do me a solid and leave a 5-star rating on whatever platform that you're listening to. And if you are able to, leave a review. The more that you comment, the more that you rate, then the further that this podcast is going to go and get into the ears of the women that need it. Those high achievers, those perfectionists, those I can check off all the boxes and then what? So that is who this is for. Share it with a girlfriend, share it with your mom, share it with your sister, share it with whoever you feel like needs to hear this message today. And if you screenshot it and send it to hello@chantelandco.com, you will get my ebook, The Foundational Steps of Self-Care for High Achieving Women. So this is not the get a massage and go on vacation. These are the foundational things that you need to be doing every single day that fall up under self-care and get you to that next step, get you to those massages and to those vacations. But if you're not doing the basic, it doesn't matter how many vacations you take, you're still not going to be truly practicing self-care. So you want this ebook. It is not available to anyone because I haven't put it out there. And I decided this is a cute little incentive to send out to those that, go above and beyond to leave a 5-star rating and also to leave a review. So thank you. Make sure you send that over. So let's get into some questions. So these are anonymous. So I appreciate y'all. I will not shout you out, okay? I've been following your journey for a while now. What's been the most unexpected lesson you've learned since starting this podcast 100 episodes ago? The most unexpected lesson is that I do have the ability to be consistent. I have a habit of starting things and stopping things and the shiny object syndrome, finding something else to do. And I decided that I was going to be dedicated to this because there's so much that I can do with these episodes. There's so much information that I can give and repurpose the information and give it in a way that is feasible in other ways for people that don't listen to podcasts, or it's just not their jam. They like to read or something of that nature. So that's the most unexpected lesson, is that I do have the ability to be consistent when it's something that I actually want to do. So let that be a lesson for you too. If it's something we really want and it's something that is important to us, we're going to get it done by any means necessary. I have put out weekly episodes. I have put out bulk episodes at the beginning of the month. I just continue to tweak because I'm not going to give up. I'm going to figure out what works for me, and I'm going to continue to follow that forever and a day. The next question. As Black women, we're constantly told that our worth is tied to productivity. How did you first realize you needed to break free from that mindset, and what was that process like for you? Good question. Let's see. I believe that the first time that I recognized that my worth was tied to being productive was when I first left corporate. So you know how you work in corporate and you work these 8 hours, these 40-hour shifts, sometimes more than that. And there's this idea that we need to be doing something all of those hours. And when I was in corporate, I did realize it's like, I'm not using all of these 8 hours. Like, I could be done by 12 o'clock and just kind of putting out fires or wherever I'm needed at the second half of the day. And so when I started working for myself in my practice, I was trying to fill up 8 hours worth of stuff. And the reality is I didn't have 8 hours. I was mimicking my corporate schedule and trying to do that. So it was like get up in the morning and work like 8 to 5, 9 to 5, and have a 12 o'clock lunch break. But I started stressing myself out because I don't have that much stuff to do. And so then it made me think, gosh, like, do I suck at this? Am I not a good business owner? Am I not this? Am I not that? Like, I'm not doing it right. And it wasn't until I started putting myself in spaces with other business owners that worked for themselves, and that was like what they did full time, is when I realized we don't always necessarily have 8 hours of things to do, and that is okay. And so once I figured that out, I think I maybe in the beginning 2 or 3 hours a day, and then I would let myself roam. I would let myself go have fun. I would go frolic. I would go play. I would go take a nap. I would go sit outside. And eventually I didn't feel bad. And I think the biggest contributor to that was I put myself in spaces and had conversations with people that understood what I was talking about. I couldn't necessarily have that conversation with someone that worked in corporate because Monday through Friday they were going to work. So to say on a random Tuesday, I worked from 10 to 12 and now I don't have anything to do, they'd be like, what do you mean you don't have anything to do? You can't find something to do? And I didn't need to find something to do because it was really stressing me out and it was really making me question my capabilities. So that's how I went about that process. It took some time. I'm back now that I'm back working at a 9 to 5 job. I'm back to not necessarily filling my day with things, but I still follow the rubric of filling my day with things that matter to me. And luckily, I'm in a space where I am encouraged to do that, to focus on self-care, to get outside and not just jam-pack my day full of work. So I definitely lucked up with that one. Okay, next question. Listen, I'm that high achiever who's exhausted but can't seem to slow down. I understand. What's one small practice that helped you begin prioritizing pleasure without feeling guilty about it? So there's this belief that when you're first doing something, you're not going to feel guilty. And so that's the first part that I want to dissect of this question. You're going to feel guilty. You just are. You've been doing the same thing for the past how many decades? Some of you 3, 4, 5, 6 decades. And you're expecting that when you go to unlearn something or go to do something different, that's against the grain, because this is still new. Pleasure and prioritizing self and prioritizing the things that you enjoy for you and not for someone else is brand new. This is new. And so it's not what everyone else is doing. And so they're going to judge you. They're going to look at you crazy. They're going to be like, why are you doing that? You're selfish. You're this, you're that. And that's where the guilt comes from. The guilt comes from the external judgment of what you're doing. If there was absolutely no judgment for you taking time to slow down and rest and tell people no, it wouldn't be a problem. It's the external judgment. You do it anyway. You take that nap. You say no to another obligation when your calendar is filled. You take a day off. You use your PTO, okay? Like, you go outside in the sun. You get yourself something at the store instead of constantly focusing on getting something for the kids that really they don't need anything else at this current moment. You feel guilty and you do it anyway. And what you'll find is eventually when you're consistent with choosing you, not only will the guilt decrease, but you will see how the quality of the people that matter in your life, the quality of those relationships increase. So it's not about not feeling guilty in the beginning. It's about doing the things anyway, similar to fear. Just because you're scared doesn't mean not do it. It means you do it anyway, and you build the confidence in your ability to do it, and you see the proof in what happens when you do it, that you're going to be okay. Then the fear and the guilt decreases. So that was a good question. I like that question. Let's see. Let's talk about sexual pleasure as a form of liberation. Always. Let's do that. How has reclaiming your sensuality shifted other areas of your life? Oh, good question. Good question. Because sexuality and sensuality are two different things, right? And so when we start talking about sensuality, it is just the ability to lean into your senses, to be able to experience the world through your five senses. And so I did that through going to pole class. So anyone that knows me knows I absolutely love going to the pole studio. It's where I had my awakening, if that's what we want to call it. So I remember going to the dance class, and I had on all of these clothes. I'm talking about t-shirt, leggings, and I showed up to that first class and I was so overdressed, because anyone that dances pole know you have to have skin to stick to the pole. So I was highly overdressed. And as I continued to go and come out of my shell, one of the things that I loved, and some loathe this, but one wall is completely covered in mirrors so that you can see yourself. And they also have this red light, which I have fallen in love with the red light. And to be able to see yourself in the mirror, um, working the pole, rolling your body, seeing your body do things that you normally don't see it do, and having people cheer you on, and there's no space of judgment. It's just a lot of love and a lot of support. It makes you want to figure out, how can I do this more? This episode of Owning Pleasure as a Black Woman is proudly sponsored by Organic Leaven, your go-to source for all natural, body-safe products that enhance your intimate experiences. At Organic Leaven, they believe that what you put on and in your body matters, which is why they offer a carefully curated selection of organic, eco-friendly products designed to bring pleasure without compromising your health. From luxurious lubricants and body oils to intimate toys and wellness products, Organic Leaven has everything you need to elevate your sensual self-care routine. Each product is crafted with the highest quality ingredients so you can indulge with confidence, knowing you're choosing the best for your body and the environment. As a special offer for our listeners, you can enjoy 10% off your purchase when you use the coupon code Javery Wellness at checkout. Visit www.javerywellness.com/organic Lovin, that's LOVEN, today to explore their full range of products and discover how organic, body safe options can make a difference in your intimate life. That's www.javerywellness.com/organic Lovin, spelled LOVEN. And don't forget to use the code Javery Wellness for 10% off your order. Take care of your body and let Organic Lovin take care of your pleasure. This episode of Owning Pleasure as a Black Woman is brought to you by Javery Integrative Wellness Services, where holistic healing meets mental wellness. At Javery Integrative Wellness, we understand that life's demands can take a toll on your mind, body, and your spirit. That's why we offer a range of therapeutic services designed to help you reconnect with yourself, reduce stress, and find balance. Whether you're dealing with anxiety, relationship issues, or simply looking to enhance your overall well-being, the expert therapists at Javery Integrative Wellness are here to support you. We specialize in creating personalized integrative care plans that cater to your unique needs. Ready to take the first step toward a healthier, happier you? Visit www.javerywellness.com today and schedule your free 15-minute consultation with one of our compassionate therapists. It's time to invest in yourself
and start your journey to wellness. That's www.javerywellness.com, your partner in holistic health and healing. Don't wait. Book your free consultation now.
So I loved who I blossomed to be in that space, but I always hid it. It was like my own little secret. Like I would go to the pole class and this is where I'm this particular person. And then one day I was like, okay, how do I allow her, this pole persona that I've created, how do I allow her to be a part of my everyday life? How do I integrate her into who I am? Because that's still me. Like that person in the pole studio who has the pole name and is doing all these things, that's still me. And so she can be integrated into my day-to-day activities. And so that's just what I did. I started figuring out how can I look at life a little bit more sensual? How can I experience something not necessarily through my logical brain, which I use on a regular basis, but how can I feel through things? And that's how I started. That's how I shifted. How can I enjoy my food? How can I love the clothes that I wear? How can I enjoy looking in my environment and how it looks and how it makes me feel? So that's how I shifted it. And just by doing that, you end up shifting your sexual experiences and your sexual identity as well. So I always tell people to go to pole class, my clients. I'm like, just go do a little pole if they haven't already. Those are the type of people that I gravitate towards me. Okay, so here's another question that's similar to the last one that I think I kind of answered. I've spent so much time disconnected from my body after years of grinding. What practices helped you reconnect with your sensual self after being in that productivity focused space for so long? And see, so the last question kind of answers that one. I went to pole class, but it doesn't always have to be pole class for you. It could be yoga, it could be breath work, it could be working in the garden, it could be going to a wine class, it could be changing up the way your house looks, changing the furniture, changing the curtains, the clothes that you wear, the oils and the scents that you wear. That's how you go about reconnecting to your sensual self. That's how you go about reconnecting to your body, giving it what it needs, listening to it. Because in that productivity focused space, we do so much ignoring of our body. And it's just like, yo, I carry you all day. I do all these things for you, and you continue to ignore me. So one day, just sit and do a 5-10 minute body scan and ask your body what it needs, and don't judge whatever the answer is. Just honor it and listen to it more. Talk to your body more, and that's how you're going to reconnect to your body and build trust, which then helps you reconnect to your sensual self. So, good question. Next question. How do you navigate conversations about pleasure and desire with a partner who might not be used to a woman who knows exactly what she wants? You navigate it very softly. You don't come at them with a whole bunch of demands, and you understand that they have to get used to this version. Now, I don't know if this is someone that like you just learned how to navigate these conversations and know what you want, or if you've already known what you want. But in the instance of not knowing and now knowing, you have to allow your partner to catch up. You have to remember that they're used to you being a certain type of way. And now all of a sudden you show up talking about, this is what I want, this is what I like, this is what I need. And they're like, who are you? Like, where did this come from? How you want me to do what? Because they may not be familiar with it. They may be uncomfortable with having these conversations. And so you just want to give grace to allow them to either catch up to where you are and get to know the new you, or to allow them to decide that it might be too much and it's not something that they're comfortable with, which is absolutely okay. We always want to give people the autonomy to make the best decision for themselves in relationships. And so it could be too much, and that's okay. And you have to decide, well, where do I go from here? Now, for someone who has established their pleasure and desires in the very beginning and is dating, You just have to have the conversations up front. Like, you want all the information up front before you start diving into something deeper with someone, and it eventually doesn't work because they're intimidated, or they have a way that they see things going and they want to be in control, or they want to be like, they want to be pleased. They want to be the taker and not necessarily the giver. So you just have to have the conversation. Something that's really good that I recommend to clients and couples is to do 21 questions. And you put from vanilla all the way up to what you want to know, and you put the questions in, and you do like a date night, and you ask these questions and have both parties answer the questions. That's going to help y'all know about each other, and it'll also let you know, like, if they're finicky or they squirm with certain questions, because you want to know those things as well. Ooh, this next question. It's a good one. I think we all need the question. Let's talk about boundaries. How do you maintain them with family who's used to you being the one who handles everything? Again, very softly. You have to give people time to catch up to this new version of you. You have to give them space and grace. Now, what I say is, once you determine boundaries, you let them know what the boundaries are, and then you give them time and space, whatever that looks like for you, for them to understand them and to navigate them and to process their own feelings about what it means when someone sets boundaries up for them, especially for people who don't have boundaries and they feel like they're being disrespected or someone's not showing up for them or it's selfish. You have to give them time to calibrate. After a while, with discernment, you'll learn those that just don't really care about your boundaries and who severely get upset when they no longer have access to you the way that they had access to you. This is a really good way to figure out who's for you and who was just for what you could provide for them. And that's where you start transitioning into what we call the grieving and the loss of all of those people in your life who they were there because of what you could provide for them, and they never really had any intention of pouring back into you. Not intentionally. It may just be that they don't know how to do that. And so, just like they say, we can't take everybody with us. Once you're aware and you know better and you start doing better, things definitely shift around you. That's okay, but it's also really scary, and it's really sad, and it can get really lonely.
I just wanted to pop in here and say that I had to stop recording and record again because I had a client that I had to see. So it sounds a little different, but bear with me. I'm still answering questions. Thanks.
Everything I thought I wanted, but something's missing. When did you realize external success wasn't enough? Oh my gosh, this is such a good question. Okay, so I didn't realize that external success wasn't enough until I started working in my practice full time. And it seems like a lot of my epiphanies and light bulb moments happened when I was working for myself full time, because it just accelerates your personal development. But when I started my business and I went all in full time and I quit corporate, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying some things out. So I ended up going into a group coaching program. It was a business coaching. And I said, I'm going here and I'm going to figure it out. I had listened to the person's podcast. I was like, I like what I'm hearing, so I'm going to join it. Well, a lot of the things that I was hearing was not about my particular specialty. So I wanted to do sex coaching, and I was a therapist, and I wanted to focus on wellness. And a lot of these conversations were geared towards how much money was in your account, and these are the things that you're supposed to be doing, and in a certain amount of years, this is how much money you'll have. So like all these business programs said. And so in my mind, I'm new to business. I'm like, okay, so that's what success is. Success is having a specific amount of money in my account. And it was not aligning to that. Like, I was doing all of the things, and I was taking their courses and looking at these master classes, and I was joining these programs. And at the end of it, my result wasn't the same. And it was really messing with my self-esteem, and it was messing with my confidence. And so one day I was feeling so bad, and I was like, I have to stop. Like I have to stop. And some of you may have heard me tell the story before. I was like, I have to stop. I stopped doing all programs. I stopped making my life so business focused because I was like, it doesn't make sense. I'm doing the things that the people are telling me to do, and I still don't feel successful. I'm still struggling in certain areas. My bank account still looks a certain type of way. So I went ghost. I kind of isolated myself, went into hermit mode. I stopped listening to business podcasts and reading business books. I did not join any more business coaching groups. Like, I ceased everything. And I went into a little cocoon, and I focused on the things that I had to. So I knew that I had to see clients. I knew I had to tend to my family. And I started going back to my therapist. And I said, I'm not doing anything else. I'm going to focus on the things that I know I like doing. And from that, I was able to discern that that is not what my success is. It doesn't take a lot for me to feel happy, and the things that I thought that I needed, the certain amount of money in my account, it didn't add up to what everyone was saying that I needed. And so essentially what ended up happening is when I shut everything down and isolated myself, I was able to hear myself. And I was able to define what success looks like for me. When I did away with everything, I was like, financially, I don't really need what I thought I would need. Like this astronomical amount that I was just reaching for just to reach for it because that's what people said. If I have that, that's great, but that's not what I need to do the bare basic things that make me happy. And from there, that's when I found my success. Success for me is doing what I want to do, when I want to do it, going where I want to go, when I want to go there. Just whatever pops up into my mind that gives me that full body excitement, I want to be able to do that. And that's how I was able to determine what success looks like for me. And I live by that now. I do not, I don't just go and buy any and everything anymore. I'm very intentional. I'm very discerning about what programs I'm buying and masterminds that I'm going into and how it's going to benefit not just me, but the thing that is being created through me. So that's when I realized external success wasn't enough, and that just because someone else did it doesn't mean that I can do the thing and it's going to result exactly how it did for them. Okay, so we're going to do 2 more questions. These were so good and I appreciate it. I also don't want to go like way over with the questions, but if you like this type of thing, let me know and I can start incorporating more of them into the episodes, a Q&A style situation. Okay, next question. I'm intrigued by this concept of self-intimacy. What does that practice look like in your daily life, especially as it relates to sexual self-knowledge? Okay, so again, we're trying to bring 2 things together that don't necessarily need to go together. So self-intimacy and like sexuality, things about sexual knowledge, they don't necessarily coincide. They don't have to coexist. Self-intimacy is just you getting to know yourself and building a closer relationship with yourself. So what does that look like for me on a day-to-day basis? I eat the things that I like. I engage with the people that I like. I'm curious about myself. If I do something or I feel some type of way, I ask, well, why? Why, Natasha, do you feel that way? I get to the root of things. I'm very curious about myself. And I also am open to asking people what they think about me or just that constructive criticism so that I can grow and decide, is that how I want to be perceived or is it something that I want to change? So self-intimacy is just getting closer to myself, getting to know myself, honoring myself, loving myself unconditionally, even when I know I got flaws, even when I know my attitude can get a little stank, even when I know that I can be moody and I can get into these certain spaces. That's what self-intimacy is. Sexual self-knowledge, now that's getting to know yourself in a way as like the sexual aspect, what it is that I like, what it is that I want, and how do I communicate that to someone so that they cannot necessarily replicate it, but they can provide me with pleasure. And it's not just me giving. So those, I want y'all to hear this, are two different things. Sensuality, intimacy, all of that doesn't have to equate to sex. All of these things can be built personally, and it can be built in relationships without that sexual component. That's actually really important, to have that relationship with yourself and to have that relationship with people outside of the bedroom. So when you're thinking of these concepts, I want you to remember that one doesn't have to exist for the other one to exist. You don't have to have sex in order for there to be intimacy or self-intimacy. It's something that's completely different, but it can enhance the sexual experience. So there's that. Okay, so this is the last question, and this is a good one, and I'm going to try to answer it as transparently as I can. When you're going through your own struggles, how do you continue showing up authentically in your work without feeling like a fraud? The reality is, the work that I do, I don't see myself too far ahead of anyone that I work with. I may be 2 to 3 steps ahead of somebody. And that's only because I've done the foundational, I've done the root work, right? But when I'm going through my own struggles, I tell people about it. Like I don't hide it, because the reality is, it's how I got here. The decisions that I've made about boundaries, about perfectionism, about me being a high achiever, about me wanting more pleasure, about me wanting better sexual experiences came from struggles. That's how I'm able to give you the information that I give you. That's how I'm able to have these episodes. That's how I'm able to know how I want to approach clients. It's not just, I'm coming with these concepts because of my education or anything. No, it's because I struggle. And when I come out of the struggle, I'm like, how, if I ever had to go through that again, or if somebody is going through that, how can I make it easier for them? Just because you live a life of pleasure and like self-care and rest doesn't change the fact that there's going to be struggles, because life does what it does. It lifes. And I've never really felt like a fraud. I feel like I make myself very personable so that you understand the reality of what life looks like, both and. When things are hard, how you can still implement pleasure, how you can still implement self-care, how those things are just as important when you're struggling as it is when you're having a really good day. Struggles are natural. And that's a part of my story. It's a part of me walking my talk. Like I don't just get on here and talk about these episodes and like give you this information and then get off and be like, oh, well, going on to live my life in a different way. No, like one of the things that's really important for me and for anyone that works in my practice, anyone that I associate with, is that you walk your talk. Because there's no way that I can pour into the women that I pour into, whether it's clients, whether it's at my retreats, whether it's in my clinicians. There's no way to pour into somebody and not do the same for yourself. That just doesn't logically make sense, because then we're doing the opposite. We're constantly giving and giving and giving of ourselves, and we're not replenishing. And that's not how we're going to do it. Right? Because we are a mirror to you. When you come and work with me, when you come to work with the therapists in my practice, it's a mirror. We have the exact same lived experiences as you. And I want you to know that it's possible to get through the struggles, even when the struggles are, they're doing some things, they're pulling you down. It doesn't change how I want to show up. I hope that makes sense. Basically, all that to say is I not only talk this, I want to show you how to do it, and I want to show you that I'm doing it. So that's how I know that this stuff works and it's important for your well-being and for your quality of life. So that's how I end up not feeling like a fraud. And I've heard people say that I'm very personable, and I take them on the entire ride. So whether you're listening to the podcast, the YouTube channel, following me on Instagram, Facebook, like I'm living my life. Like I'm doing the best that I can, the same way that you're doing the best that you can. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. So that was the last question. This was fun. I appreciated this. I think I might just implement this at least once or twice in a season. We are coming to the end of season 5. Yes. But anyway, I appreciate you so much. I am very humbled and very appreciative of all of you following me and listening to these episodes up until the 100th episode. I don't know how many people get to 100. I hear that the percentage is small, so I'm just really proud of myself. So here's to 100 episodes, and here's to 100 more. Remember to leave a 5-star rating and a 5-star review. And if you screenshot it and email it to hello@chantelandco.com, it'll be in the show notes. I will send you over a copy of my ebook, The Foundational Steps to Self-Care for High Achieving Women, because it is not about the commercialized things that we are shown on a day-to-day basis. It is very, very practical and something that you can do every single day. I love you so, so very much. I will talk to you in the next episode. And remember that pleasure is your birthright, and you are so very much deserving of it. Bye.